BP, what's going on, dude?
What's going on, brother? Welcome back. This is the Tipped Out Podcast, episode 12. What do we got today, bud?
So today I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about obviously what you've done this summer and well, now we're working into the fall and what you've done with this new job at this teaching academy.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to get started because I feel like as we learn more and your teaching philosophy will change a little bit.
Yep.
I know that mine has just from my own personal studies, whereas you've actually had a hands-on experience where you're working with some very prestigious teachers or people that have
Yep.
worked with prestigious teachers. So I feel like you've probably learned quite a bit. And I just kind of want to get into, first off, just what the experience has been like for you and what you feel like you've learned thus far and what you're taking away from the experience.
Cool. Yeah. So, fortunately enough, I've had the opportunity to kind of work in a couple different, maybe themes. You could call it themes of coaching. So, like, we'll bring it right back to Delhi first, where you and I went to college. So first got introduced to kind of teaching through Frank Gargano from 𝐓𝐢𝐻𝐈𝐲. He kind of let me have his clients once he graduated. We had 2 or 3 clients from Delhi, so that was teaching individuals. And then you and I went to my next teaching position. I didn't get any instructional opportunity at the Broadmoor in Colorado. But then when we went to Pennsylvania, was that? Yeah, that was, I guess, sophomore year too, right? That was sophomore. Yeah, so
Yeah.
sophomore, then we got the hands-on, and that was a private club members. So now you have a totally different. We went from like random Joe Schmo guys to now members that you're going to see all the time, and then now, I kind of transitioned into online, and now it's finally hands-on again, but at an academy. So going from a private club to a public to now an academy. It's all different things, all different ways of teaching. So for me, the thing I like the most currently is going to be the coaching aspect. So we have roughly 18 students from all over the world. We're located in South Florida, Southeast Florida, at Club Med. But our academy is called Altitude Golf Academy. So there's golf, soccer, tennis, students that have played on a bunch of different tours. But these are kids from roughly ages of 12 to 21 right now. So it's very different. You're seeing these kids every day, and it's very structured. Whereas you might see Joe once on the range just to band-aid his slice up and never again. But these are kids we film, shadow, talk to every single day. We got them there for school. We have tournaments with them, travel with them. They stay right on site. So you get to really know kids, but it's also almost like like being a parent. It's weird that was kind of not a news flash, but something different to me. Whereas as soon as we graduated college, literally as of this last week, we almost did with our final internship presentations coming. Like, man, these kids are thousands and thousands of miles away from their mom and dads, their brothers and sisters. And so as a coach, we're here as a support system, as an instructor, as a drill sergeant. We wear many hats at this academy, and that's kind of the part I like, but it's also far more demanding than just being a regular teaching pro, in my opinion, just because there's so many students, and it's 6 days a week, and the 7th day they get to play on their own. So 6 days a week, it's broken up into certain types of instruction: range, short game, situational, and then of course on course. So I'll let you speak, and then we'll kind of dive into probably later as to how that instruction's broken down, and then that's where our teaching philosophy will kind of be touched on, definitely.
Yeah. So, and one thing I kind of want to add into that is based off what I'm hearing you say is when you talk about, the average Joe or the average, when we just start out giving lessons versus where you're at now, and probably something you've learned, right, is you're much more obviously invested, which is good. You should be invested in the people you're teaching, but you understand more how to help someone improve, kind of regardless of where they're at, and you're more involved, I'm guessing, and you're more, like taking videos, because you don't always start at that level, right?
Not at all, right.
Sometimes, like when you're first giving lessons, it's new, it's different, it's not something you nailed down the process of really teaching someone how to improve.
Yep.
Whereas I think it's really important, obviously, and the most effective instructors are people that have a process that they go through with someone where they can take them and you can see the improvement, and they in their mind know the steps they have to take to make that improvement, and have that thorough detail and really get into it like that. But
100%. Yeah, definitely to add on to that, it was like, it's funny that you mention it. When I was teaching back at Delhi my freshman year of college, um, I was far more focused on what I was about to say than like what they actually needed as for a swing fix. So I was very fortunate to like get my early reps in and kind of learn what not to say or do or kind of how to go about it. I definitely learned to kind of write down notes and structure and get a plan going. You have to be prepared, but almost the further you progress and the more you learn, like today I had a new student come in today just for a week, a 11-year-old boy who's played on and off a little bit, um, but he's got his little sister and his mom right there, and it's here's my son for 2 hours. And so it's like you have to know what you're talking about and what, like, you have to have a plan without having a plan. I didn't know how this kid swung it. I barely knew he had his own clubs. No clue what his miss was going to be or really what to do. I knew break it up hour by hour, give him range and give him short game. That was my only guideline. So today it was going in there and it was like, all right, if he hits it this way or that way or this, I got this drill, that drill, I got this fixed and ready. So you really got to learn to, be on your toes and be confident in what you're going to say. So it went from me focusing on how to say something to now I have more patience and confidence in myself to like literally pause and think for a moment before I like, here, do this or do that or feel this. And now I'm far more into studying instructors themselves. I don't know why I emphasize the ORS on that so much, but analyzing instructors and also students. So like you said, it comes down to like a little bit of psychology and like how students learn. Some students of ours are really goal oriented. So it's like, have a target score for your round. And other students need so much free flowing room to like, you can shoot 70 or you could shoot 90 and we don't care. Then there's other students that need like, if you break 80, you're getting punished. So, or if you don't break 80, you're getting punished. So that's the cool part about it is you get to know your students more, see how they react on and off a golf course, find out what's going on at home, in school. And then that almost plays into our instruction. Is he having a bad day? Does he have certain medicine? Is he what nationality or what is his culture that's going to change how he either learns or, just certain students, depending on where they're from, Japan, Mexico, France, they learn different ways, they act different ways. There's certain innuendos that you have to be kind of aware of. So that's what I'm learning now. Between the 3 instructors that I look up to and have been shadowing and learning from, they've worked with, for, and taught themselves the Hank Haney's, the Gilcrests, the David Ledbetters, Phil Ritson. All these guys have been a major staple in my 3 bosses kind of learning development. So I'm learning.
that's some prestige right there.
Yeah, so it's so cool. Very, very grateful for this opportunity for sure. Just in how much I'm learning, how much responsibility I have, both as a person and instructor. You got kids' lives in your hands almost, at times, and it's a cool way to kind of you grow up quick a little bit, and it's just cool. I like having that responsibility. I've always chased something like that, and it's a great stepping stone. It's different. One instructor is very Hank Haney oriented, where it's ball flight and let me fix the club and the body will follow. And the other instructor, or the other 1 or 2, are very biomechanics based, which you can touch on, where it's, let me move your body and the club will follow. So plenty of ways to skin a cat and I'm happy that I'm learning all of them. And to kind of tie into before we deep dive into like teaching philosophy, right from the start when I kind of had no guidance, and just like I think both of us kind of were self-taught in golf, we were kind of self-taught in teaching up to this point, where it's been like, yo, let me say this or try that and see what works, what doesn't. I've just kind of looked up my own drills, and now I actually have a program. We have a teaching manual, so that's been much easier to go off of. You stick to the program, everybody's on the same page, and that way you don't have students trying to go in every which group, because each student's getting taught in the same style. Now they're not learning the same things, but they're learning the same style. So like on a range day with my 4 students I may be working mobility, or I may be working stability, or maybe even shot shaping. So I'll have all the kids have stations, and then at the end they'll go through their personal drill cards. So each kid will have 2 to 3 topics for that month. And then on the back of that card, they're going to have a motion and a generic drill. So the generic drill is done just with body, no golf balls being hit. And then the motion is almost sometimes the same drill, just with a golf ball. So now when they can go through those drill cards, they learn to understand what fixes they're making and why. And then as I have to do later on this afternoon or this evening, I have to write up some more monthly reports. So every month, maybe 2, almost even a semester, depending on how fast they're progressing. Each student has certain goals that are individual, but practice can be generic or general, if that makes sense. So they can dive deep into their own individualistic training, but throughout the day, the first hour or 2 of that range session is going to be a pretty generic thing that us coaches will grab from our notes from the course days. So Thursday to Saturday will be on the course, and that's when we're kind of just watching, but there'll always be a little game, either a match or play from the red tees or work on shots from the woods. All these little things, that's where us as coaches, we got to jot down notes. And then, all right, next week, I noticed you guys were coming up short on every club. So now we're going to go through our decade club selection system, and then do a little bit of course management, and then tie that into the range session and then the short game. So it's very individualistic, and that's kind of how I taught myself early on, that I didn't want it to be a model swing. I didn't want kids to stack until I didn't want it to be the A swing. I just thought, every person is different, so they're probably going to swing the golf club different. We're different heights, different weights. We play different sports. We have different inabilities and lack of mobility in certain areas. So for me, my philosophy is very individualistic. It's player by player. It's how they perceive words. It's how they like to be taught. It's how they learn in school. It can tie into all those things. So once again, tying it back to the academy, it definitely helps. The more you get to see the kids, the more specific and very effective the plan can be. But how about you? What do you think about your philosophy, and how have you been kind of training at Partridge Run?
So I think I don't think, as you've touched on, diving into philosophy. For me, I don't think my philosophy or anyone's philosophy necessarily has to be that complicated. But definitely one thing that I have learned, and this is more just from individual research and just kind of understanding what my preferences are, and what I think the most effective way for anybody to kind of learn and act athletically, or tie that into their golf swing, would be through biomechanics. And that would just be the way that your body naturally wants to work. And I've learned a lot from Mike Adams and Terry Rolls. I actually am in a little seminar thing they did over quarantine, over COVID, and I've been trying to learn as much as I can and soak up as much of that information as possible. But definitely the coolest thing I think about that is they're totally focused on understanding how the body works. and understanding how people match up in what ways, because one thing that works for somebody doesn't necessarily work for another person. And if you can figure that out, it's less understanding. It's not as much understanding of golf as it is just understanding how the body works. And just one example I'd like to give would be, because I remember learning about the X factor, or how everyone was talking about the X factor of restricting the hips on the takeaway, which for some people that's good. And then other people, if you were to look at a Bubba Watson swing or a Phil Mickelson swing, their hips aren't being restricted at all on the way back, right? They're coming all the way back. Their lead heels coming off the ground. So I think being able to understand that and understand what information is good for you and what information is bad for you is really important, just to be a better player, and then also to be able to teach other people. Because if you tell the wrong person the wrong thing and try to get them working a certain way that their body doesn't really naturally want to work, you could probably ruin someone's golf game pretty quick. So
Yeah.
I think really something that I've begun to believe is just that to be an effective teacher, you and effective across all people, as opposed to just being maybe niche and being successful with some people and not successful with other people, is to really, start to understand the biomechanics of it. And you have to kind of understand the matchups that the body wants to someone's natural movements. And that's that. Now it's definitely not something that I could go right away at and just start, telling everybody the right thing, but it's a patient learning cycle, it feels like. And I think it's really cool that people are doing that research, and it's kind of more like you're a scientist as well as an instructor. But and people perform best in those natural movement situations. And
Yeah, so that's awesome, dude. Like that makes so much sense. And that's another takeaway that I've gained from shadowing these great instructors that I'm working for is 99% of the issues that I see with our students, it goes back to setup. So if we're not in the proper alignment, grip, or posture setup, it's not really going to produce a good result. We can get away with a lot, especially if you're think about someone that's plays a ton of golf, maybe just your regular 20 handicap at your local club. They probably, most of them have pretty janky swings, pretty homemade swings, but they play so much that they learn to play with it. So the difference between going from that and diving into a junior swing, now the junior is not going to have as many flaws or faults that are that ingrained, so we can move them around. And that's another thing, man. It's hands-on. Like, it's one thing to say it, but there's people learn in all different ways. So going into the biomechanics for instructional purposes, you may not be on the range just talking right away with why we're doing it, but as an instructor, you have to know that. So that's another thing, like that we talked about in definitely a bunch of our PGM classes, was we have to know the statistics, the in-depth whys, but also how to get that across in the simplest form. If you've never picked up a golf ball, how do I teach you how to hit a golf ball efficiently? And that's been through the systems that I've been learning. We simplify it to 6 steps of the golf swing. Now, right before we jumped into the podcast, we were talking about kind of getting away from the steps of the swing. So I would agree with that. So when we have our sectioned or our scheduled range practice, that's when we are definitely working on a lot of technique. It's 6 positions of the swing, step 1, 2, 3. We're working those things, we're checking it in the mirror, and that would be like our generic. Now, as we get closer to tournament weekends or even Thursday, Friday, Saturday, when we're out on the course, the biggest thing is we're trying to turn technique into a feeling. So no longer do we want our kids with the club on their hip going through the positions. It's okay, what is that position? And now how can you feel that? So then when we're back in our routine, we're set up behind the ball, we're picking our intermediate target, getting ready to line up. We've grooved so much the literal step-in drill. So you have a T station, you have alignment rod here, alignment rod here. Of course, the ball's here. Now your feet perpendicular to that. So that's how we walk into a shot. We're getting our posture and our alignment. I want them to walk in and do that step-in drill so many times that when they get to the course, they're going to feel if they're aligned properly or not. Big thing is so many golfers are aligned improperly, whether it's shoulders, hips, or feet. And now the club is going to be fighting to get back online or start that ball online. So if you're very closed in your stance, your trail foot is very far back, and then your hips are actually square, you're going to be fighting. You're almost double crossing yourself before you even swing. So now when you swing and your body's very shut, this lead side is going to be in the way. So you're going to come over the top and pull the ball online. Now, if that club face is shut, you're probably going to chicken wing and pull up out of it, lose your posture, and try and get that ball straight. So as soon as we bring that foot from being way too far back, we square it up. Now you're going to have more room for your arms to swing through, and the movement will feel much more free. So diving into grip, aim, and posture, I think that's a pretty basic kind of rule or rule of thumb for instruction. But I feel like sometimes we overcomplicate it, and we're like, oh, he's just over the top. Let's get you hitting under this pool noodle, or get you shallowing the club. There's certain little buzzwords in the game of golf that people have picked up and kind of over analyzed or over fantasized about. And that's just because watching the Golf Channel, watching Golf Digest, reading a magazine, all these golf books, and it definitely ties back into what you were saying. And like, if you're giving a lesson and I'm on the range behind you listening, and I'm just hitting balls, and I think I'm over the top too, but I really don't know, and you're teaching someone to shallow it out, I'm probably going to try the things you're telling that client. But who knows if I'm really over the top or not, if that's a fix for me. So I'm going to be working on the wrong things, going in the wrong direction for a very long time. So that's why it's so crucial to get with an instructor, PGA pro, someone that really knows what they're talking about, just to get you on the right path. Even if you have to talk to one, or you want to do online instruction, something to kind of get you started in the right area, and kind of toss your ideas at them just to see, if your thought process is correct. Because like you stated, man, not everything is going to be for you as a golfer. We have to do that as instructors. We have to see which drills are for which student, which way of saying something is going to be taken the right or wrong way by that student. And then as the student, we have to be confident enough in our current instructor, or maybe just ourselves in our research of the game, to do the right thing. So not to get too off topic, but when we talked about in our maybe the 10th podcast about Bill Nelson, a great mental coach that came to our academy for the students, he talked about doing things, and I believe you had to do them for, I want to say 90 days. Don't quote me on that. I think you have to do something, a habit for 90 days for it to be fully ingrained. So think about the last time you tried to fix your swing. Did you work on that one topic for 90 days at least before you pivoted and went in a different direction? Probably not.
Yeah.
We probably don't even go more than 5 swings before topping the ball or shanking it and be like, oh, I don't want to mishit it in front of people on the range where we should be mishitting balls and trying new things. But instead, we will sacrifice our score just to go out on the course, in the comfort of our own round and shank it out there. Whereas work on the shots you don't normally hit on the range, or just during a regular round, drop an extra ball and hit that shot. But when it really counts, do what is most consistent and most comfortable and just easiest. Putt when you can putt, chip when you can't putt, pitch when you can't chip, lob when you can't pitch, and then flop when you can't flop. So just going through that is so crucial, man. Like, so many people overlook course management and actually like the mental game. Not to dive back into a full mental game podcast, but do you work on meditation, or do you play a full round of golf in your mind before you fall asleep before the tournament the next day? Do you know the course? Like, there's so many things we can do outside of actually working on our swing to help lower scores. But yet people want to take the easiest route, and they think that's just fixing their slice. Now, check your grip, check your aim, and check your posture. and then try that plane drill, So there's an order of operation, and that definitely gets put on the coach a lot, which it should. That's our job. But if you don't want to go get professional help, watch this podcast, I guess. I don't know.
One thing I want to touch in on real quick is when you talked about do what is most comfortable. I feel like my goal, if I was to help someone and try to improve it and just try to improve myself, would be to make someone feel more comfortable in their swing. So if you're trying to work on something in your golf swing and it feels terribly uncomfortable, it's probably not the right move for you. That's probably not the way your body's naturally meant to move. So one thing that I would want to harp on and help anyone with is, and the student doesn't necessarily have to understand this, but as an instructor, again, understanding to screen people and learn about their body a little bit. So there's motions you make, whether it be your arm and how your arm naturally wants to swing, that if your arm wants to do this, and some people think that's a chicken wing, that's okay, because you're built to do that. Instead of if someone's trying to get your arm to do this and rotate, that's internal rotation, I believe, a lot of the shoulder, right? Is that internal?
External, yeah.
External rotation of the shoulder right there.
Yep.
And you are more comfortable with it like moving like this, then that's how you should move your shoulder. So it's more of understanding how someone's body wants to move and create their speed naturally and consistently. Because if you're comfortable, you're going to be more consistent than trying to rehearse this position and then never being comfortable and trying to do it, and then you're just fighting your own natural build of your body. So I think that's something that's really important.
100%. And there's such a fine line with that, because it makes so much sense, and you can take it almost in two directions. So when you said you want to do something that's very comfortable, now there's a difference between like comfort and correct, I think. So like you said, if you can't move, a good screening thing like you talked about is, of course, this is our internal rotation. But if you don't have a good amount of external rotation, there's probably not a lot of people out there. Go ahead, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see us doing this. Go ahead and try and externally rotate your shoulder, keep it right in frame with your body, and see how far you can bring that shoulder back. Now, you're going to have some external rotation to get that club laid off at the top or to be shallowing out eventually. So comfortable. Now, if you're a 70-year-old man who's just very hunched and you've never had external rotation, that may be very uncomfortable. Now, it doesn't mean it's incorrect, but in the same way, if you're doing a drill and it's difficult, most of the time that's going to be the right drill for you. But that's when it comes to drills and kind of instruction. But what you were talking about is like comfortability, in the sense that if you feel very awkward and weird, there's going to be all different times when that could be like a good thing. So if your grip is trash and then we fix it, but it feels weird, it's going to feel weird. It's different. Anything that's different is going to feel weird. Anything that's different or unknown to your body, most of the time you're going to reject it until you understand the roots of it. So between comfortability and correct, fine line. Between understanding like a difficult drill is going to be difficult, that's where we kind of have to like really do a good job as a coach or an instructor to kind of see how the student is taking it. Now, if I give you a drill and you just start topping the ball, but you have the expert opinion to say, hey, let's not worry about ball flight. This is all about the body motion. If your body is working incorrectly, and now I get you to work it correctly, but you're not striking the ball better right now, that's fine. So it depends on which instructor you talk to. There's going to be a lot of instructors out there that are far too naive, and they'll say, nope, they better be hitting it better every time we work on something. Now, in the little instruction I've done thus far in my life, I can tell you that I feel like I can fix anyone's swing depending on how involved they are and how much time they're going to give me. I'll put 110% every single day for any student that's willing to give that back. But you have to be able to put in the work outside of what you're doing with that instructor. So if you can only practice, and by practice, I mean if you can only get on the course for 9 holes once a week, and your expectation is to go from 100 making 100 strokes to now, shooting par, you probably got another thing coming. But if your goals are very realistic, you work with an instructor, and then you find out like what is the goal for each drill, each round, each motion, because you're definitely not going to hit the ball better each time you do a drill. There's going to be a lot of times, man, where it's like it feels tough and it almost feels like you're going in the wrong direction. And that's where it was so crucial to have teammates like you that we can kind of, can you check my swing real quick, or just, kind of give feedback. And that's where a pro comes in, where I can say, hey, like, this isn't about ball flight. I don't need you to be hitting high towering draws when we're working on just getting the body in a better position. So I definitely like what you said there. Try and work on what's comfortable. And when you feel that it's right, especially going back to like your feet being way off, if you're very closed stance, anytime I square a student's lower body up, they're like, wow, it felt effortless. Well, yeah, because now your body and your mind are working together. That's the biggest thing when it comes to alignment. A lot of issues are fixed with alignment. So say I want to hit the ball straight to this flag, 150, there's water all in front. Now, if I put a ton of emphasis and focus on the water, don't go in the water, don't go in the water, our brain can't comprehend the don'ts or the nots. It just hears water and it just focuses on our last thought. So going all the way back to that, focusing on like our stance. If I got a very closed stance, now that means I'm aimed way to the right and I'm trying to hit a straight shot. My mind knows straight shot, straight shot. My body knows I'm aligned improperly. So it's going to do everything it can to try and hit that straight shot. So when body and mind don't work together, it creates a very tough whirlwind of golf shots. It's a thin, it's a chunk, it's a good shot. And then as soon as you hit that good one, that's the one that keeps you coming back. But we really got
I have a lovely video on my TikTok and Instagram talking about that. If anyone wants to check it out. So, and what I want to touch on quick is that kind of what I was explaining before. Like if you were to look at a swing face on a DJ and you looked at where his elbow was working through the golf ball, he's going to be more in here. And his elbow's going to be working in front of his body like that. And if you watch Jim Furyk's going to be back there. Okay, so you can definitely see a difference in how their arm works through the golf ball. Now, it's probably in the grand scheme of things a huge difference, right? I mean, obviously you can't come through like this, right? But the idea is there that just because Dustin Johnson's doing it and he just won a major, and when they talk about his swing and things you could try to do to hit it further like DJ, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing for you. Don't go out here and start trying to do this if it's. So that's where you need professional help.
It really is, man. Because think about it. Everything we know in this era is about media. And I mean, think about it. You and I cover hot topics when it comes to social media posts. That's just what you do. That's called trending. That's popular. That's, the top video, top post, top sound you're using. So just like you said, when Dustin Johnson wins that tournament, they're probably going to put out a couple articles on him or a couple things in Golf Digest or Golf Now, all these different places. But dude, he is like, they're impeccable athletes. Like, it's crazy, dude. His wrist positions, like, very unnatural, very incredible amounts of time working on that, power, flexibility. So before we even touch on anything else, dude, if you're trying to hit it farther, get in the gym, do some yoga. Like, don't just get out on the range and whack balls. Like, that ain't gonna help, dude. It's not gonna. So find out what your goal is specifically, whether it's for that round, for that month, for that year, for that swing. Have a goal and then find out what's the best way to get there, and then work on that for an extended period of time. But it's so crucial, man. There's so many different little positions, and you could be so close to hitting it very good, and all it could be is a tweak of a knuckle. All it could be is where the club sets. All it could be is where your body is aimed. So before all else, check grip, aim, posture, get some professional help, and be confident in yourself and in your game as a player or as a coach in terms of what's going to be right for you or your student. There's going to be a lot of different ways to go about it, a lot of ways to skin that cat, swing that club. So, have a little bit of conviction in your game and just swing it. Swing it how you
Let
swing
it
it,
eat.
man.
Let it eat.
Yeah.
I think that's another big thing. This is one other thing I want to touch on, which I think is pretty cool, and for me, it really validates the things that I'm learning. And
Yep.
this ultimate golf lesson on package I've got from Mike Adams and Terry Rolls, but they have pointed out on multiple occasions times where golfers, Luke Donald would be one, for instance. Remember when he was #1 in the world? I don't remember what year it was, but he was really good for a time.
Mhm.
Then he started trying to make swing changes because he thought he could be even better.
Yep.
And where's Luke Donald now? So
No.
it's very interesting to hear them talk about it and say, well, the way he was swinging, that's the way his body, based off of our screens, is naturally matched up to swing. Now he's tweaked a couple things, changed maybe the way he uses his lower body, and he's getting more into his right side, thinking it's going to help him distance wise. And actually, and that was just for example. I can't remember exactly what the reason was they presented, but and actually it hasn't helped him at all, and it's totally thrown his swing kind of off the rails. So there's definitely a power to honing in your swing and finding that comfort zone. Now, just because, like Brandon said, it's comfortable doesn't necessarily mean it's right to you, because sometimes comfort is just from doing things a lot one way, but that way could not be right for you. But anyway, a lot of those guys on the professional level, the reason they're there is because their swing's pretty well matched up. So they might not need to do as much swing changing as they need to do of honing in their game. But I think that's a
that's a good
pretty cool
point, though.
way to validate kind of what these
Yeah.
guys have studied and their research and how powerful that appears to be in improving
Mhm.
golf swings and their understanding of the golf swing.
100%. Definitely to kind of touch off of that. Just for our mental note, I think we talked about it, but I definitely want to bring in some stats based on like PGA Tour and then the average golfer and see like how that differs, but just kind of to give us a fresh perspective, but also a little bit of reassurance, man. Like, think about that. Luke Donald, #1 in the world, whatever time period that was, probably in the 1800s. That #1 golfer, athlete, player in the world still wanted to make changes and still thought that was necessary. So, like, that's just, take that as you may, man. Like, we're out here trying to do what we're doing, and like they're still trying to make changes. He's the #1 golfer in the world. Everybody on that tour chasing him, and he still didn't feel like he was good enough or made that change. Now, dude, you're #1 in the world. Like, keep doing what you're doing. I assume hindsight, it's easier to look back and say, damn, I should have just kept doing this rather than change it or whatnot. But as an athlete, as a person, as individuals, we almost want to always think the grass is always greener on the other side and to keep improving. Now, you don't have to always be satisfied, but like sometimes give yourself a pat on the back after a good round, or, even if it's just getting the ball in the air. Everyone has their own agenda. And I would say follow that with 100% conviction and like confidence. Like, there's just no other way to really go about it. Like, everybody has a certain goal. Everybody has different time frames for practice, for play. Like, the biggest thing we still are, speaking for myself, the biggest thing I struggle with still is like we've talked about, I mean, finding time to practice. But now it's like, okay, well, I teach 6 days a week. I'm filming content either in the morning or right after work. And on that 7th day, I either take a break or I
On
play
the
golf.
7th day, he goes again.
Exactly, low
In
key.
fulfillment of the
7th day,
scriptures.
those scores rise again. But
Seventh
yeah,
day.
exactly, man. Everyone's got to have a goal and just to stick to it. Like, it's a very tough game. This is very tough. I think that's kind of what I was going at with the Luke Donald thing is it's so tough that when you're number one in the world, you're still thinking about improving. So just kind of put that in perspective. And next time you go out and play, have a goal, like whether it's have fun or fairway and greens. Like it's just going to kind of narrow in. Like Tiger used to always like to do no bogeys. Like if you just fight as hard as you can for no bogeys, I assume you're going to make a couple birdies, probably a lot of pars. Even if you make bogeys, it doesn't mean the round's over. Just what a broad topic. But once again, what a broad sport we have, so many ways to swing
Really
it, so
is.
many coaches, so many philosophies, so many ways to do it. I think with all the things we've seen with Bryson, with him going to long drive now, we've seen tall guys win, we've seen short guys, heavy guys, we've seen guys that practice a ton, don't practice, that drink, like there's a lot of ways to get it done out there, man. It just comes
Crank
down
up
to
and
luck.
we smoke.
Yeah. So drink.
One thing that I want to say here, maybe it might be our little ending note. No matter what, and I feel I would say this with a lot of belief. You don't have to listen, but please do. Don't fall in love with positions. And when you're on the golf course, don't try to put the club in positions or your body in certain positions.
Yep.
Just go out, focus on your target, and go from there and swing and just trust it. That can be hard, but it's something that if you spend time actually doing and focusing on, you'll be able to pull it off. And I just believe that ties into the whole aspect of, okay, there's the side of golf where you're trying to understand the swing and get all super technical. And then there's the side of golf, which is the sport where you have to go out and you have to play and you have to perform. Don't get confused in thinking that you can think about having a perfect swing and forcing yourself into these spots and making it happen on the course, because that's not going to happen. So for best results, please have fun, go out, find a target, trust yourself, and just swing.
100%, bro. I couldn't agree more with that. And to dive into that tiny bit deeper, I'll give a little tidbit and then kind of give a breakdown. You kind of did a great job there, but give a little breakdown as to actually how to do that. So I'd say the first things first is, in order to decipher between technical and game-like situation, you're going to have to practice both. So the game-like situation is going to be, maybe you have a ton of time or you have some time after work and you just go out in the course, you play 2 balls, you hit a couple extra shots from the woods or, from a bad lie. But then when you get on the range, that's the time where, yes, work on those positions and feel where that club's got to be. Now you gotta ingrain, the closer you get to playing, or maybe it's your warm up for a round. Yeah, feel those positions on a couple swings, but now you have to figure out a way to turn those positions, turn that technique into a feeling. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, now it's like, all right, track your club in that position and watch. Like, I know watching pro golf can be very boring unless you're someone like us, who I used to think it was boring as hell, but now I'm studying what the players do, how they interact, how they react to certain shots. So watch them in their pre-shot routine. So crucial. They're behind the ball. They're watching the club move. All right, I feel this. Okay, now, okay. Oh, okay. I want to hit a draw. I'm going to let my hands, I'm going to turn that lead hand down, turn those knuckles down. They don't just walk up to their ball and like, okay, I want to hit a draw and just hit one. So many people don't have like a clear thought of what they want to do because they might not know how to do it. So do your research, get on the range, get through those positions, and then turn it into a feel. So now that we know you're going to have to do some work on the range, some homework at home, go on YouTube, dive into that topic. If you have any questions, reach out to one of us on Instagram. We're happy, very, very happy to give you guys some insight. But now, Danny, talk me through a little bit, like maybe your pre-shot routine or how to get away from those positions. Because I know 100% there's been times you and I have been on the course and we've been like either watching the club head or being so caught up on like getting to a certain backswing position that we're not even worried about the ball. So touch on that a little bit if you could, how to go through turning the technique into a feel while on the course and just kind of playing out in front of you.
Yeah, totally. I think that being able to do that and clear your mind and focus on the correct things is a result of being prepared effectively. So if you aren't like, there's no point in you playing if you're a guy who plays in a league every night. There's really no point in you watching a YouTube video on some swing technique or some part of the swing and trying to just throw that into your swing out on the course, because maybe it feels like it works for one night and maybe another night it doesn't. So, I mean, if you really want to improve, it's like anything, you've got to practice. And those practice hours are really important for actually understanding and training your body, maybe to start making some different movements than you've already made. But you're going to have no effect if you try to just go out, play 9 holes twice a week and change your swing. That's just not going to happen. So the process, I would say, is understand that you need to practice. To these drills, that one thing I really like about some of the drills that you've showed me, Brandon, are they're less they're your motion drills. So the drills you'd be putting on golf balls, so like the feet cross drills, where making those motions is always naturally going to help someone's club path, depending on which foot you cross, change. So I would like to have people that I teach do those motions while they practice, and hopefully over time, if they do them consistently, will effectively result in altering their path towards more center, more where you'd want it to be. And then when you take that out onto the golf course, you've spent your time, you've prepared, you're ready to play, and your swing might be in a better place. Hopefully it is, right? So then when you go out and play, you can just play, right? So there's no band-aid for it. If you really want to be better, you've got to put in the time, and then it will show when you're out there on the course playing. And then you can just go through that free shot routine. But
100%, man. When we like, just to touch on the grip, aim, and posture, I think if you talk to a higher handicap golfer, they say, I have so many thoughts going through my head before I hit that golf ball. And I think it truly comes down to the fact that their basic fundamentals are always changing. If you have a consistent grip, aim, and posture, like, dude, of course that pops into our head probably a good amount of the time. If we're really not in the range working on our alignment, most of the time it's just my alignment that throws my whole game off, and then I think I'm playing bad, and then it kind of just trickles into everything.
Then you start trying to make adjustments in your swing that you don't need to be making.
Yep. So the more you practice those grip, aim, posture drills and make those a constant, now, like, think about stepping over the ball and not having to think about your grip, aim, or posture. Now it's like, okay, now I just got to get the club to here. But now we're going beyond that. It's playing in front of you. So the way to do that is, like Danny said, put your time in away from the actual course, put it on at home, groove your swings at home, in your bedroom, roll putts on the carpet, do some mental reading, like read into golf books, all that kind of stuff if you have the time, if you're a true student of the game. Now, when we get out there, we have to have a very open mind in terms of this is going to be a challenge. Far too often, I think people think they should play golf in a perfect manner. I'm pretty sure it was Ben Hogan who said he hits like 4 golf shots a round exactly how he wanted. One of the greatest of all time, not hitting shots how he wants. Like, think about it, people. Like, be realistic. It's a challenge. Hit it and go get it. If it goes in the woods, now you just have a better opportunity to like hit the next shot. It doesn't have to be a hero shot. Punch out, hit up to the green, make your par. I think far too often people just get in their own way and they complicate the game in their head. Fairway green, easier said than done, but just go through your pre-shot routine. Have your intermediate target, pick a 4 to 6 inches in front of the golf ball, something that's going to be in line with your target out in the distance. Now, your target in the distance should be in line. Say we just want to hit a straight shot. A lot of times we're going to want to fade, draw the ball. That's more advanced. But if we're just trying to hit a shot to our target, don't just pick the flag, because now you're going to be almost nearsighted. Your brain is only going to want to hit it that far. Far too often, high amateur or high handicap golfers under club, or they know their yardages. Oh, I hit my 9, 145 yards. Okay, well, is that 1 out of 10 that you hit perfectly? So you might hit your 9, 135. Okay, well, now did you factor wind, the lie, Did you factor in what golf ball you're playing? That noodle, that soft noodle, dude, probably ain't the same as a high-end Pro V. So all these little factors that go into it, the lower handicap you are, the more skilled you get, the more those factors matter. But for the time being, pick a target that's in line with, let's say, the flag, as high and as far in the distance as you can. Now think hit it far. Don't try and hit it far. Think hit it far. Now what that's going to do is going to take a little bit of tension out of your body, and you're just going to be able to swing freely. Everyone tries to hit it too hard. The swing shortens. The transition is way too fast, and the arms either get stuck on the side of their body or they tip out. Dude, we got to make a full turn. The arms got to go in front first, and now speed. Everyone pulls speed from here. It's club into the ground or club over top. Make a full turn, let your elbows get in front of you, and then speed through. So that's just a tiny, tiny tidbit, man. It's like, get your target. Okay, now you got your target. Get your alignment. Now step behind the ball before you go. And if you want to hit a draw, set up with your feet a little closed, your shoulders closed, the club face to the target. Now feel the motion in and out. Okay, I want to swing in and out. Let that club face close. Feel that. Don't just get up over a shot, set up in a slice stance, say, I'm going to hit a draw by a miracle. That's not how it works. Like, watch the pros, watch them deliberately go through their feeling and be committed to the shot. If you're not committed to the shot, don't step into it. There's so many ways to do it, but 100%, it's like, be open and ready for the challenge. And the challenge is just a round of golf, man. Like, you're going to hit bad shots. You're going to get bad lies. You're going to get the kicks off the tree. But fix a couple extra ball marks, throw a branch off the cart path. That ball might hit off the tree and kick in play next time. Just have a good time out there, man. It's a game. It's very, very hard when we're in that situation to kind of take a breath and step back and realize that. We've all snapped clubs. We've slammed them. We've really blown some rounds. But if you go into that round knowing you're going to hit bad shots. We don't want to, but it's inevitable almost. You're going to get bad lies. Like, play to that. Like, have fun with it. If you get a bad lie, be happy. It's a challenge. You get a fried egg in the bunker. How can I get this out? You mope and piss and moan your whole way up to that golf ball. Doesn't mean you're going to hit any better. So you might as well just have a good frame of mind and have fun while you're hitting shitty shots, right?
Yeah, that's true. I think I like to tell people if they struggle with like maybe the mental aspect of the game or just enjoying it is, you don't have fun, don't play, right? We're out there to have fun. Maybe golf's not for you if you're not having fun, but I think a lot of people should be having fun when they play. But it definitely is. If you're out there, we're out there. Just I always just try to remind myself, what do I play for? The enjoyment of it, really. I mean, I play to be successful and be good, but if I don't put the time in on the side and I know that I've been slacking with my practice, then I might, I probably don't deserve to be as whiny as I am, right? Don't complain if you know that you haven't been putting the time in. So go out and have fun and understand that you're not going to be unbelievably good if you don't practice, right? So
100%, man. Yeah. That's hit the nail on the head, brother. I think that's what it comes down to. Practice, patience, and just awareness of your individual situation. Is this, are you playing after work with the boys, just having a couple beers, your little 9-hole league? Go out there and be happy to hit your slice. And if you're not happy to hit that slice, hit one of
play your slice, play it into the middle. And then if you really want to be better, then, talk to somebody like us.
No doubt. All right, brother. That has been another great podcast, podcast 12. This has been teaching philosophy and just diving into your own game, having a fresh, clean perspective on what golf is. So real quick, brother, plug yourself, plug any social media or what you're working on. I'll do the same and we'll get out of here.
Definitely. Dannychristygolf. You can see it right there. I changed it middle of the video because for some reason it wasn't there from last time. So Dannychristygolf on Instagram and TikTok. I hope to be getting more content out there soon, but I've got some good stuff on there already. And it's the Tipped Out Podcast on Instagram.
I love that, man. So yeah, and if anyone's in the area, boy, Canton, York, Partridge Run Golf Course, make sure you hit your boy up, get a lesson. And yeah, for me, man, it is balance underscore performance for the Instagram. TikTok, I think it's like BP Golf 710. And then the YouTube, you're on it. So once again, feel free to hit myself or Danny up for a free analyzation. If you guys are interested in any online instruction, go ahead and reach out and I can kind of give you the rundown how that works. Unlimited online instruction. Get with somebody. Doesn't have to be one of us. That's the biggest thing, man. As an instructor, have the confidence. I don't care who you go to. I just want to see you guys play better golf. So if it's me, if it's Danny, if it's a dude down the street, whoever's giving you the best information, go to them, get your game right, and we will catch you podcast 13.
One thing really quick, if you're watching on YouTube, if you like my shirt, Brandon and I have been in talks about maybe making some shirts of our own. So if you're interested, we'll have some, I think we have some great design ideas. We would love to be getting those out to you.
Definitely. Yeah. So that's another thing too, guys. If you are watching this, if you're still with us, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, or if you're lucky enough to be watching this on YouTube, reach out to us with any questions, guys. We would love to talk to you guys a little bit more. We're going to try and do these podcasts more on a frequent basis. But with that, yeah, be on the lookout for the apparel to be coming out. And then it's going to be coming out on bpgolfinstruction.com. So that's the website. You guys can check out membership on there, a little bit about me, the background, and that's what it'll be. So you guys will be first to know. We'll definitely be doing some giveaways with the apparel once it comes out, definitely in the coming months. So stay tuned for that. Any other final words, Mr. Christie?
No, we are signing off. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Contraband got that dope.
Sometimes I don't feel alright. New girl on my face, she said she nigga, but that's why I don't feel alright. Catch me in a good mood, I just